Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Here's another episode of the Invertibles FC Podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Jay,
I'm Armaan.
And I'm Kian.
and we got a banger of an episode for you guys. Match week 1, the Prem is back, boys. Uh, and man, so much to talk about. So here's what we're gonna do. Here's the format for today's episode. We're gonna keep it decently short and very sweet. We're gonna talk about a little bit about the contenders. I think there's only really 3 contenders right now. Arsenal, City, Liverpool. We're going to talk briefly about each team, what we thought about their first match week after the long break. Then we're going to talk about one team that we thought really impressed this week. Then we're going to talk about the game of the week. I think we all kind of agree what that game was, and I don't think many people can disagree. Then we'll talk about another team that probably disappointed us this week. Then we'll talk about a player of the week. And then lastly, we'll see if any of the relegation candidates that we predicted from last episodes impressed us. Maybe we don't think they're going to be relegated anymore, or maybe we think they're for sure going to be relegated. But yeah, 5, 6 topics, all going to be great. Briefly going to touch upon them. And guys, I'm so hyped. What did you guys all think about the contenders this week? Prem is back. I mean, does anyone really disagree that there's only like 3 real contenders even after match week 1? I'd say Arsenal, City, Liverpool are probably the only people going to be fighting for a title this season. Anyone disagree with that statement?
Yeah, it's just going to be Arsenal and City.
Yeah, that's fair. That's actually fair. As a Liverpool fan, that's fair right now. I'll say, Armaan, what did you think of City? What did you think of that game against City had against Chelsea? Chelsea's made 5 bajillion signings, but they still came out short, even though they had a better expected goals against City. What did you think of that City game?
Chelsea kind of played them pretty well, but at the end of the day, they didn't have Rodri, so you can't. I don't know how much stock you can really. I mean, like Chelsea still playing well, but Rodri's also like the best midfielder in the world. I mean, they won like 70 games straight or some insane record like that. So, without him, I thought they did a pretty good job. Their wingers look deadly. Doku and Savinho, like 2 guys that can beat you off the dribble speed. That's going to be deadly, especially once they get Rodri back in the sticks and De Bruyne kind of plays more attacking because he's sitting back deeper and he can ping those balls out to this really fast wingers. I think that adds another dimension to a Pep team. And I thought defensively they were solid. Rico Lewis was really good. He did a good job against Nkunku, who didn't see too much of the ball or didn't really have too much success on the ball. But other than that, I mean, Chelsea had some chances, yes, but I don't like Ederson didn't really, or was it? Yeah, Ederson was a goal, right? It wasn't Ortega. Yeah, Ederson. But he didn't make too many saves. Like, they had their chances, they had their better expected goals, but I think it came down to just really poor finishing and not putting the ball on target, which, if you saw too, the City players were putting in a bunch of blocks as well. So I thought overall City, it's not the best version of them, but like 2-0 win at Stamford Bridge where they drew 4-4 last year. Like, I think that's pretty an improvement. So I think City looked good. I think they're only going to
But
get
that
better
4-4
from here
draw,
on
that
out.
4-4 draw was later in the season, right? I mean,
I think
it
that was
wasn't
still their
for.
first. I mean, last week they took 2 points out. They got 2 points against Chelsea. They already beat that because
Yeah.
they got a win. So, and they don't even have Rodri. I expect a couple signings for them to replace Alvarez too. So I think City's going to be like City always is, and
And
we're
I
just
don't know if anyone saw this comment that Pep made about him saying he doesn't have motivation to win a 5th straight Premier League title, and that motivation only comes in May. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he's trying to tame Arsenal or give you Arsenal fans hope about making a charge right now, and then come like February or March that they're gonna just keep winning like they always do or something. I don't know if any of you had any thoughts on that statement or that comment he made.
There's always early season mind games. I'm not looking too much into that.
yep.
Yeah,
He can say what he wants. He loves being cheeky early
yeah.
season. That
It's his
cheekiness
last
is what
season
we've come
too.
to
Just
know.
remember. Kian,
Absolutely.
speaking on Arsenal and the mind games Pep is playing, I think in Pep's mind, and I think in a lot of everyone's mind, it is an Arsenal City title race. If neither of you win the title, you both kind of bottled it. You both are the early favorites to win the title. Um, I think if maybe if Liverpool win, you have a bottle, but if anyone else really, I think that's kind of an upset in terms of like who is supposed to win the title this season. Arsenal, they came up with a 2-0 victory. What do you think of that game? Any thoughts?
Yeah. Yeah. So I agree with you. I think that bottle is a word that we throw around a little too much, but absolutely. If one of those two don't win it, then the rest of the Premier League has definitely made their appearance known. I'm going to get right into the game, okay? So
Yes.
I watched the Arsenal game this weekend. I was very impressed with a few players, less impressed with a few players, and I actually thought Wolverhampton played a decent game, more so than I was expecting. So I'm going to say David Raya actually had a pretty decent goalkeeping game for someone who I thought wasn't going to be too involved in the game. Didn't think Wolves would give him very many chances to get involved. In those moments that they did force him to get involved, he was excellent. You know, he had a really sharp save. I haven't seen too many saves like that. That's maybe because of the Arsenal defense usually is so strong. I will say it wasn't the strongest defensive game I've seen from Arsenal. They looked a little bit sloppy. It is early season. I don't expect that to continue as the season goes on. Zinchenko was okay, not bad at all. I don't have too many complaints about Zinchenko in particular, but it is interesting to see that he is still starting right now. I like that Mikel trusts his players. I do think that Timber and Calafiori are going to give him a good amount of bench minutes this season. I expect them to slowly integrate into the lineup as they get healthier, they get more fit, and I'm excited to see it. I thought Odegaard was great. I did not love our midfield. Partey, not great,
Yeah.
not great at all. Well, very sloppy. The memes on Twitter were a little brutal. They've come to be with just a couple players in particular. Declan Rice was okay. Not his best game in an Arsenal shirt for sure, but I can't criticize him too much. And then Martinelli, I expect more from him as the season goes on. We need that
You
left
guys are
side
pretty
to
hyped
be
about him.
stronger.
You guys are pretty like expecting big things from him in the preseason. After that preseason
We
game,
talked
we're
about
seeing
it.
Martin.
Exactly. We talked about it. We do expect big things from him. I don't think he was bad, but the left side, definitely, as Timber and Calafiori get integrated into the squad, we expect to see a little bit more from them. And our star of the game, Bukayo Saka, Kai Havertz, those two
What
were
a
great.
player.
Can't complain about them. Saka, 1 goal, 1 assist. Tremendous effort. Just all around a great team performance, despite looking a little sloppy, if that makes sense. It's
Yeah.
a win. It's a win on match day 1. We'll take it. We'll run with it. Big
It's the first
test
week.
next week in match week 2. We'll talk about that maybe towards the end of this podcast. But Wolverhampton impressed. And just really quickly, I was just going to say Lamina was good. Their shithousery in the back from Mascara was maybe the highlight of the game for a lot of people. A lot of social media clips going around of that guy. Their new signing, I believe, being an absolute clown, messing with Havertz, choking him, didn't get a red card somehow. I know I'm biased, but everyone on the internet was, talking about how that he should have been sent off. Only the announcers and the referees seem not to think so, which was really frustrating to be able to watch that
Yeah.
game and see that go down.
I didn't know
And
we were
then
watching the UFC. I'm not gonna lie. When we thought that was
he
happening, I didn't know it.
he kind of went after Jesus and wanted a little bit more of him than the average footballer wants from
Yeah.
an opponent.
Yeah.
A little bit of foreplay, if you will. I didn't like that. And you know what? If it wasn't on a soccer pitch, that's going straight to
It would
the.
be explicit.
That's
It'd be
ridiculous.
explicit content.
You know what? I am really curious how they are moving past that without complaining to the Premier League, because that was truly a horrible look for the refereeing in the first match week of the season. There should
And
not
I just
be
want to say, like, not to cut
hands on
Kian off,
necks,
but
hands and butts. What is this, a rap song? No, 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 no. This is the Premier League, boys. We don't do hands on
I,
necks, hands on butts. Okay.
I just want to say, like, the refing across the league was horrible this week. I don't know if it was just me. It was that game. I have no idea who didn't get a card for that. It was a Liverpool game. It was the game today, Leicester versus Tottenham. I don't know. I think the refing has been so inconsistent, so bad. And for a league that claims to be the best league in the world, which I do still think it is, the refing is so horrendously inconsistent. Not even like horrible, it's inconsistent. Sometimes it's amazing, and sometimes it's so god awful I can't even wrap my head around it. I'll
We talk.
briefly talk about Liverpool, and I just want to put this fun fact out there before I start talking about Liverpool. Arne Slot is the first manager this century to win his opening match for Liverpool as the manager. So since 2000, no new Liverpool manager. No, Klopp couldn't do it. Brendan Rodgers couldn't do it. I mean, Brendan Rodgers lost 3-0 in his opening. That was horrible. Roy Hodgson couldn't do it. Yeah, Arnie Slot. All I wanted from this match week 1 was a win. It could have been an ugly win. It's a new, like, when you're under a manager like Klopp, who's so, like, he's an icon for the club for so long, and now you're in this transitional period. All you can ask for is just don't lose. Even a draw would have been okay, growing pains, but a 2-0 win, and you really got to look at it. It was a tale of two halves. I watched the first half. I woke up at 4:30 a.m. to watch this game. The first half was so disappointing. I think our expected goals the first half was zero point 0.2 or something. We created absolutely no chances, and then we ended an expected goal with, like, I think in the 3 or something like that. So just a tale of two halves. The only amazing thing I will say, I love that Arne Slot subbed off Kwanzaa. He said he was losing too many duels, not winning enough. He subbed off Kwanzaa, and he put on what's his name? Oh, Nate,
Holy
yes,
shit, buddy.
Konate. He put on Konate. I forgot. Anyway, he subbed off Kwanzaa, put on Konate, which I was actually surprised Konate wasn't starting, but I'm glad he's not holding. He's expecting these players to have not perfect repertoire, but if you're not performing even in the first half, 46 minutes, as soon as the game starts, you're out, which is, I think, a really good look. And he's setting the foot down as a manager on the table. I think that's something sometimes Klopp struggled with. He gave these players who are having a bad day a little bit more time, like until the 60th minute, and by then you only have 30 more minutes to get a winning goal or something. So yeah, really enjoyed that. I think Trent was absolutely incredible. The pass in the first goal to Salah. Salah didn't even touch it. If you guys look back, Trent passed it so well that Salah literally, his next touch was the pass to Jota, and Jota scored. So just amazing. Trent was amazing all around. He had so many good passes. Salah, of course, like what more can I say? He's the fastest player to 300 goals or assist contributions ever in the Premier League, which is just ridiculous. Yeah, I we have a big test in 2 weeks against United. I hope we can keep this up. Hopefully, get a win against Brentford next week. But yeah, that's all really I have to say. Uh, yeah, enough about these. Of course, these three big teams, big claims. Let's talk about a team that Kian has hyped up since the start of this podcast. The performance of the week. I think we can all agree it was Brighton this week. What a performance by Brighton! They're at the top of the table. They have the biggest goal difference this week. They're top of the table. Kian, I'll hand it over to you. What do you think of Brighton this week?
This isn't the first time Brighton's top of the table after match week 1, just a couple seasons ago. Anyways, Matoma, Welbeck, Adingra off the bench, 3-0. Everton was shut out at home in their opening game of the 2024 season. Very disappointing from an Everton fan perspective. Expected much more coming into this one. Hoping for a result, of course. Brighton was incredible. They deserved the performance of the week from us. They looked very strong. Their new players looked like they'd been in the squad for much longer than a couple months. Weaver, if I pronounced that correctly, and Minta looked great. The latter provided the assist to Matoma for their first goal. Awesome. Can I just give a quick shout out to Danny Welbeck, the former Arsenal legend? Danny Welbeck
He's
looked
so
great.
good. He's still so good.
Still
He still
doing
has
it.
it.
He's still
He's
doing
so
it. He still has it. Honestly, I could not be more impressed. That second goal was solid. He created it almost by himself, really. I mean, I'm glad that what we hyped them up for in the preseason is kind of showing dividends already. I feel like they made a couple signings this week that Armaan, Jay, all of us are really excited about.
Yeah.
When they integrate those guys into the squad, woo-wee! It's fly seagulls fly, baby. It's fly seagulls fly. We're getting them to the
Man,
top 5 conversation.
I was clowning Kian on that top 5 pick, but I still don't think they're gonna be top 5. But
I'll still
top
get
8.
clowned by the end of this. They probably won't finish in the top 5 if we're being realistic, but I really do think that they can push for it. Is what my whole point was.
They can push for the 10th spot. They'll push for the 10th spot. That's about it.
Brother, you're just not ready.
Wait,
not ready.
You really
yet.
think what? Name me not even 9 teams. Sorry, 6
No,
3 5 6 3
we're
10
not
4.
doing
No.
this. All I
It's,
want to say, and then we're gonna move on, is oh mama, here come the goals. Let's go.
here come the
Let's go, Brighton.
mama. I want to give a quick shout out. I have to because I love him. I have to give a quick shout out to James Milner for he's the oldest. Like he set the record for the most consecutive Prem starts ever. 23. James Milner has been in the Premier League for 23 years. What I think there was a fun fact that Brighton's
One of us
new
wasn't born
manager.
yet. That guy.
Yeah, yeah. This guy wasn't even born when James Milner made his debut in the Premier League. But I think a fun fact was Brighton's manager was like what I don't know how old he is. He's pretty young. Was like 4 or 5
He was
when
like
James Milner
9, I
started.
think, or something.
Yeah. Um, so that's a crazy fun fact. Anyway, I have to. I don't think anyone could. I don't think anyone could disagree with the game of the week. Man, what West Ham versus Aston Villa had me on the edge of my seat for a whole 90 minutes, especially like the 95th minute. We'll go into that a little bit later, but West Ham Aston Villa, what a game! Who impressed you? Who didn't impress you, Armaan? What do you think of the West Ham Aston Villa game?
These are my two teams right here that I was hyping up. For Aston Villa, I like their new signing Morgan Rogers. I thought he was really good. Dropped deep, made a lot of chances, was good on the ball, made some good runs in behind. I thought overall he was really solid. Linked up really well with Ollie Watkins and John Duran together. Onana as well was really good. Scored a goal on his debut, and he was just eating up ground in that midfield. I mean, Paqueta did not have the best game either, but I think that's partly due to how Onana's presence in midfield, and I think he has a different dimension compared to Douglas Luiz as a 6. Last player on Aston Villa I liked, Pau Torres was solid. He had like 2 or 3 30 to 40-yard carries with the ball and created some good attacks from defense, which I was surprised by. I don't know who's going to start once Tyrone Mings is fully healthy because Mings was the consistent starter. But I think Pau Torres is, whether he starts or not, it's going to be very solid center back for Aston Villa moving forward. And last, super sub Jacob Ramsey.
You mentioned Pau Torres. It's like he's been coached by Unai Emery before. Somewhere in the beautiful city of Villarreal, these two once made love on the soccer pitch.
Okay.
And now they brought it to them. All right, go ahead.
Jeez. No, I think Pau Torres is going to be, I think he should start along with Konsa. But I think once Mings comes back, that their center back, I think the squad's coming together. John Duran's going to be a Premier League starter next year. Not at Aston Villa probably, but I think he's going to be a starter at a top 10 team in the Prem. He's really good. Same with Jacob Ramsey, solid. They played John McGinn as like a left mid, which was so weird to me. I mean, obviously with the flow of the game, you change, but I think Jacob Ramsey is going to be a really solid super sub for them. Add some different type of kind of flow to their left wing. He's not pacey like Leon Bailey. He's more of a controller. He impressed me a lot when he came on. Got the assist to John Duran as well for the winner. But yeah, I think Aston Villa looked really good. I think outside of like maybe 20 to 30 minutes, I thought Aston Villa was the better squad. I think maybe a draw was deserved. Both teams didn't really create much, but most of the time it seemed like Aston Villa was really in control.
I'm gonna disagree. I don't think a draw. I mean, well, a draw probably. Let's be real. It should have been 2-2, but I don't think that was deserved. I did think Villa played better than West Ham. I think it really should have. I know Bailey and Matson both had opportunities to score and they didn't. And even though the expected goal shows that West Ham was 2.4 versus Villa's 1.89, the last 0.9 of that expected goal from West Ham was that miss.
Yeah.
I forgot who. Yeah, it was that 95th
Oh,
minute
Suchek?
which I have no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, no idea how that happened. So
Yeah.
I really did think Villa deserved the win, and they did win. And what a gutsy win away from home. A great
That's a
start to their
hard place to win.
campaign. Really hard place to win in the West Ham. The bubbles, guys.
Yeah.
Really hard place to win. So very inspiring for the Aston Villa squad, especially with their new signings, like as Onana headed home 4 minutes into the game. And they're in the Champions League. Let's not forget that, right? They're in the Champions League this season.
Yep.
And so, yeah, that's all I really have to say. Kian, anything you want to say about that game?
I was only going to add that I talked about this in the preseason, that Kudos is a star, and I just wanted to reiterate that one more time, hammer it in. That guy is special, and if they sell him at any point in the next couple of years, he will get a huge fee for West Ham.
One could say that kudos deserves kudos. Okay, that was a horrible
Okay,
joke.
that's an.
All right.
Wait.
Moving
Last thing I want
the F
to wait.
on.
No. Last thing about them is people. Man, Bowen. That was a disappointing first game as a captain for your boyhood club.
Yeah,
But low key, I don't even
yeah.
think it's his fault because Kufal was so out of position all the time. He literally was running around like a headless chicken. I don't even know where he was. He was like Bowen was playing like
Yeah.
right wing back the whole game. So kind of sucks that like I'm pretty sure that's his debut as the captain of the club. Turns out like that, but I
Yeah.
expect much better things come later on in the season. Hopefully, Kufal learns how to
Yeah.
position himself.
West Ham is still a very dangerous team. They had like, I mean, as I said, they almost came out with a draw. They really should have, but I don't think they deserve that. So anyway, but yeah, just a great game to watch. So, but let's talk about a game that we were a little bit disappointed to watch. I know these guys will be jumping on the tooth to crap on this team as both Arsenal
Don't
fans.
sugarcoat it. Don't sugarcoat it. It's the disappointment of the week. We have a title, Jay. Stick to the title.
Tell us about it, Kian. Who was disappointed this week, and
I'll
why were they
start, and then
disappointed?
Armaan's going to chime in because I'm going to just say a little bit. I watched the whole game. Okay, I was not happy with their second half performance at all, even from a neutral perspective. Tottenham Hotspur, they were very disappointing today. Okay, you cannot be a Tottenham fan and tell me you're not disappointed with 1 point at Leicester, a relegation candidate. Their entire squad in the second half just let me down. I don't want to blame it on one person. I honestly think the team could have just all done better. I don't know why they had such a bad let off. They let Leicester back into the game from about the 55th minute through the 75th minute. They let Leicester back in the game. Leicester scored against the run of play, I'll admit that much. But then I felt like they were actually good for like 10, 15 minutes before they were like, okay, we're just gonna play the counter and let you guys try to score on us. And they got defensive, lower block. And then they still almost did score, like 2, 3, 4 good chances, honestly. I thought that Buonanotte pass to Jamie Vardy earlier, I guess that was a little earlier, but in the second half, I thought they were about to go up 2-1. They probably should have. And then there was the chance where, I forget his name, but the substitute for Tottenham, the young guy in the back, the right back,
Bergwall?
He lost the ball in such a dangerous spot. And their goalkeeper, Victor, Vicario, bro. He was pissed, man. I haven't seen a goalkeeper that pissed in a while. It's like reminded me of Aaron Ramsdale when he would get fired up. It reminded me of Pickford. You know what? That's unfair to say. Pickford does that on every other play. It reminded me of Pickford. He really channeled his inner Pickford and was pissed because, hey, that should have been a goal. Leicester could have won 2-1, which wouldn't have been necessarily deserved, but I honestly wouldn't say it would be undeserved either because they did run them out a little bit in the second half. And when you're a top 5 club expectation-wise, at least, that is not, you cannot play like that. I don't care if it's match week 1, you cannot play like that. Armaan, please chime in.
I think Tottenham's biggest problem is the midfield stability. Like I said, that's why I don't think that they're going to be in the UCL. And you saw, I mean, Leicester, once they grew into the game a little bit, I mean, Tottenham had no control in the midfield. They don't have a true number 6. Now Bentancur's injured. Praise up for him. But I mean, I thought he was probably their best midfielder. And I think a 6 is really needed. A 6 or an 8, someone that can eat up a lot of space, is needed if they want to contend because their midfield is their weakest point right now. And I don't see that getting fixed with anybody in the squad. I think Pedro Porro, like I said, was weak defensively as well. I mean, he's great going forward, but he's a complete liability on defense. It's kind of like Trent. No, I'm just joking. That's a little harsh, but
all right.
But I mean, even then, like they had a lot of chances. They should have killed it off, but I mean, Leicester held their defensive shape very well. And I think
Kian almost like had to change underwear after that Buonanotte pass to Vardy, and Vardy really should have scored there. I'm not gonna lie, Vardy really should have scored there. But anyway,
you know what?
Yeah.
I was at least glad that he was really mad at himself. Honestly, like it fires me up a little bit. Like it makes me calm down when at least the player is mad at himself when he knows he needs to make that shot. He's a seasoned
and and Tottenham has a tough next couple weeks. I mean, Everton is always going to be tough. Then you go, you're at Newcastle. You're playing Arsenal. Then you play United and Brighton away from home.
Ooh,
Rough start to the
ooh.
season. These are points that you need. These are points you need to pick up if you to not lose
That
Steve.
Tottenham 4
And
pick by me at the
yeah,
prediction pod
and
is
it
not looking good. Not
and
looking
then
good whatsoever.
and like if you're Tottenham, you're viewing this as 2 points lost on the road.
Yeah,
You have to be disappointed with
100%.
the way you played. I think it's harsh because I thought they had so many chances, but when you're like you said, a top 5 team, the expectations are high, and a draw away from home against a team that just got promoted is unacceptable.
I agree. I have really
I
not
agree.
much to add to that. Uh, all I have to say, two things. As I've already mentioned, one, Vardy really should have scored there, and I think it would have been hilarious if Leicester came away with an actual win against Tottenham. So, and another thing on Vardy, what he's just a Premier League legend. Like what a guy! Did we see the antics he was telling Tottenham at the end of the game? Like, oh, I love this is why I love the Prem. Like he does have a Premier League, he does have a Prem, and Tottenham have absolutely nothing. And I think they will still have absolutely nothing after the season if they continue playing like this. Armaan, like you said it yourself, like the midfield is just in disarray. Like, what are you doing? Uh, yeah, if it wasn't for some brilliance by Son, like what a pass! But not from Son, by the way. Sorry, Son didn't pass that. From Madison, what a pass by Madison, and the finish was also sublime. I really don't see them really scoring a better goal than that. Like, I mean, that wasn't even like a clear cut chance. That was just like some really good skill from both ends. But yeah,
Yeah, and to
honestly, my hot
just
take is gonna be like I think Tottenham gets like only a few more points in the next like 4 or 5 weeks. Like if they continue playing like this, and they could see themselves in like a mid-table battle, and they're gonna have a steep hill to climb. On their way back to a European competition spot after these first 6 weeks. But yeah, Kian.
absolutely. The last thing I was going to add is just the phrase is to add insult to injury, but in this case, disappointingly, and hopefully they're both okay. But to add injury to insult, their best player of the game, in my opinion, or one of them at least, in hopefully anyone's opinion, Bentancur, horrible injury, nasty collision,
Yeah.
and then Pedro Porro hobbled off too. I don't know if that's going to hold him out for next week. It might not have been that serious, but it might still be a week to week injury. So you just don't know when he's going to return either.
Let's talk. 10 games this week. So many players. Let's talk about let's each pick a player that we thought was our player of the week, or contending. I think we're all gonna mostly agree on most of them. I'll kick it off with Armand. Who impressed you this week? Who impressed you?
There's like 6 players,
Pick one.
but
Pick one. Yeah,
hmm, it's gotta be Bukayo Saka. No, goal and an
that's
assist.
fair. That's completely fair. That is completely fair.
Absolutely.
I think the pass to to Havertz was immense, and then the
Oh,
finish too
I'm
cuts
not
in on
even an
the right
Arsenal
near
fan,
post
and I was
finish.
like,
Incredible.
you guys knew in the group chat. I was like, he's so good. He's
Not
just
fair.
so good.
He
Like
was he was our best.
yeah.
Yeah, he was our best attacking player that whole game. I mean, had
Phenomenal.
4 or 5 shots on target. I thought he was amazing as well. I mean, I told you, world class. I mean, Mo Salah, we're coming for you. In 10 years, no one's gonna even know who Mo Salah is. They're gonna know who Bukayo Saka is because he's gonna be the best right winger in the Prem after he leaves Arsenal for retirement.
Um. Okay, I'd hold your horses
We're
there.
coming. We're coming.
There,
We're coming for
Mo
that.
Salah will always just like Hazard will always be a Premier League legend. Because when he was in the Prem, he was amazing. Mo Salah will always also be a legend, and Saka is most likely always also going to be a Premier League legend unless he leaves, which I doubt
He's
personally ever.
22. He's
That's what I'm saying.
22 years old, baby. Let's
Wait.
go.
Don't make me feel
I need
bad
to give a
about
shout.
myself. Yeah.
Wait. I need to give a shout out to Mario Lemina because I loved it. He was insane in that Wolves midfield. He was everywhere. We
Kidding.
cooked in Mario Lemina. I was texting our group chat that I was impressed with him. That he was everywhere. He won the ball back so many times, stopped so many attacks, made a lot of key tackles. I think I was impressed with him. But yeah, I'm gonna stop talking. I'll
No
let
worries,
Kian
Kian.
take over now.
Yeah, Kian. Who is your player of the week for you?
I love when you talk.
Talk more, please.
Honestly, it's tough. It's obviously tough to pick one. I will
Yes.
say, I, I will say, I'm gonna give a double shout out. I'm gonna keep them both short. Okay, I'm gonna say Onana was as great of a debut you could ask for Aston Villa. I
Yeah.
thought his first half was maybe a little bit better than his second half, but he was still everywhere. Like his presence was felt literally. He is a big presence, a tall dude, and he rocked. That was a great debut. If that game had been at Villa, I think it was at West Ham, right? Am I tripping? Yeah, it was at West Ham.
It's at West
If
Ham.
that game had been at Villa, that whole stadium would have been rocking because
Villa Park.
he had quite the game. Yeah, and I want to say this is a shout out to a smaller, lesser known player right now, but remember the name. Yukinari Sugawara, Japanese international, 5th most expensive signing of the summer for Southampton. Not even their top 4 most expensive signing from the Dutch league. He looked great in that first half. I have no idea why he was subbed out at halftime. I was really impressed with him. I watched not just the highlights, I watched some of the game. He was good in both because he's in like almost every highlight for Southampton in that first half. He was their best player in that first half. I don't know why he came off. I still don't really understand. I got to read into it, but that guy is going to have a big season. If Southampton's going to do anything, it's going to be that name over and over again in your guys' ears. Jay, do you have a player you want to shout out?
Yeah, and I'm gonna keep it not biased, but like I I think it would be injustice not to shout out. I'll give 2 shout outs. My main shout out's gonna be Trent. Trent, what a game. I still think he's fuming a little bit because he should have been on that English squad doing something. But anyway, that's a conversation for another day. But Trent, just what a game he played. He had so many good passes. Just I love how Trent can create nothing. Like we'll win the ball back in the backfield, and suddenly we're countering with Luis Diaz or Mo Salah up front because they have that pace, and he's putting the ball right on their feet, and all they have to do is take a good touch, which any good winger or striker should be doing, and we're hoping for a goal. So I think Trent played really really well. That assist, as I said earlier in this pod, to Mo Salah. Mo Salah didn't even have to like touch it again. The next touch was the pass to Jota, and then we scored. And then a shout out and an honorable mention to Salah, of course, just because like I take him for granted. I mean, not this is an American football pod, but for me, he's kind of like Drew Brees. He's Mr. Reliable. Like you take him for granted, and then one day he's gonna retire, and it's gonna be like, where did our production go? Like, why can't we score? Why isn't there someone like putting these assists in the box? So not only can he score, which he did, not only can he assist, which he also did. He's just a great player. And that's all I really have to say. And of course, I know I'm a Liverpool fan. I'm shouting out to Liverpool players, but I really think it had to be said. Lastly, we've talked about all these hype things, all these amazing teams like Villa, who really impressed us. Onanu, what a great player. Disappointments we've talked a little bit about, but let's talk a little bit about these teams that, only these 3 teams that might be fighting for the relegation battle really gonna be keeping up. And we had all 3 of us had the same teams being relegated. We had Nottingham, we had Ipswich, and we had Southampton. Did any of our relegation candidates, or maybe another one like Leicester, did any of them impress you this week? Yeah, Armaan.
I was just going to speak to Forrest really quick and please chime in. I watched the full highlights. I thought that they actually played pretty decently. Like I didn't expect anything from them. I really didn't. I know Bournemouth isn't, a top 4 team or anything, but I thought Bournemouth would definitely handle that game. Even in a tie, I thought they would handle that game, but it was pretty even. And if anything, Forrest probably should have taken 3 points in this one. I think I was impressed by the whole team's effort, but it was nice to see Chris Wood healthy and getting that first goal for them early. I thought they had some other chances to score. I don't know if I'm going to pronounce his name right, but Owani, the Nigerian international, he came off the bench and looked great. I think he might even start some games in the future. And then they got Eddie Nketiah coming in, rumored to be coming in, which I think is a good signing for their attack. Maybe, the manager wants more attacking players to make sure that they're not one of those defensive Burnley type teams in the bottom of the relegation scrap. So honestly, I think Nottingham's making moves to make sure they're not in that bottom 3. They don't want to be in the relegation picture. If anything, They think of themselves as they're making moves like a mid-table club. I like the last few moves they've made, and they looked good in their first game. Armaan?
I agree. I watched like the ending,
Sure.
but yeah, I didn't get to catch highlights. But I think you're right. Just especially after losing Danilo, who's probably their best player,
Yeah.
to still get a point and probably they said dominate the game. I think is very impressive from a side that I think we all had getting relegated. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Um,
just quickly, I don't know if Jay, you wanted to speak to any of them as
yeah,
well.
I just had one. I think Ipswich did impress me a little bit, especially the first half they had against Liverpool. And I forgot, I don't know, maybe you guys know, they made a signing recently, right? That was pretty good. That or I don't know, I'm forgetting something. I feel like I saw a Fab tweet about Ipswich making a signing, and I was like, oh, that's a good signing for them. Anyway, I could be speaking out of my butt. But anyway, I really did think they might. I think they might be fighting to be barely out of relegation. So if you're a
they
team,
got Calvin Phillips
yeah,
on
yeah,
loan.
yeah, exactly. So Calvin Phillips on loan, I think that's a big a strength for Ipswich. He's such a good player. But anyway, I think if you're a team like Brentford, if you're a team like Leicester, watch out for Ipswich. They might be they might be pushing you down to that relegation spot. And I think they didn't impress me in the sense that I think they're not going to be relegated, but they impressed me that I think they're better than I thought.
To be clear, Jay means that coming from a big club, Man City, Calvin Phillips should be a big player, should be a big
Yes,
player for them,
yes,
should be good. We haven't seen it in a while. We haven't seen it since his Leeds days, honestly, and it's really disappointing. So this is a big transfer for him, a big loan for him right now. So once he's integrated in the squad and he's starting in that 11, we do expect to see big things from him. And
yeah.
Ipswich's promising start against Liverpool should only translate into even better performances against some of the smaller clubs in the Premier League.
Yeah. Anyway, I think that's really all we have for you guys this week. Nice short and sweet episode, especially after a really long episode last week from the prediction pod. If you haven't listened to that, go and listen to that. Tell us why you disagree, or maybe you agree with all our takes on that episode. I think we had some really fun conversations. Another thing, every week we will be posting power rankings, what we the Invertibles FC power rankings that we all come to agree on Twitter. So go follow our Twitter. We're gonna have a short blurb about each power rankings. I thought Man City should have dropped out of the one for the power rankings this week, but Kian and Armaan disagreed. You know what? And that's fair. But I want to. I think we all want to know your listeners' thoughts about what you guys think the power rankings should be. So go on there, criticize us, or agree with us. But that's less interesting.
The
But
week
yeah,
one power rankings will be up before you've seen this video, so please go check it
exactly.
out on Twitter.
Yeah, it'll be linked in the show notes to that tweet will be.
Really quickly, guys, before we call it a night, do we want to talk about our favorite matchup of Match Week 2?
Let's do it. Let's do it. Armaan, what one game are you looking forward to next week?
There's the obvious Arsenal Aston Villa one, but I'm not going to shout that one out. I'm gonna go for Crystal Palace West Ham.
That's a good game. That's a good shout. That's a
Good
good
game.
pull.
Yeah,
Good game.
How about you, Kian?
Jay, you can go second.
Okay, I'm gonna take the Brighton Man United game. That's like it's first of all it's a very bad slot for United. Like the first game of the week, a noon game for them, a 4:30 a.m. game for them. Gonna try to wake up, but yeah, that's a big test. I think if United win that game, they might be onto something.
Listen, I'm excited to see Wolverhampton host Chelsea
Okay,
Sunday,
okay,
August 25th at 6 a.m.
really,
Pacific.
really.
9 a.m.
I
Eastern.
I believe that this Chelsea team has a lot to prove right now. They got to prove that they can integrate their players quicker than the three of us have faith in them doing so. They need to figure out that attack. They need to figure out what the hell's wrong with Nico Jackson.
They need
And
to
they
play
need to,
Cole Palmer as a 10, not as a winger.
exactly. They have a lot of issues
Yeah,
to sort out right now. And it's going to be really interesting to see them on the road at Wolverhampton. And after watching the Wolves play Arsenal this week, I like Wolves in this one. But you
yeah.
never know because Chelsea does have all the talent to make a move. But as of right now,
Too much
I'm
talent.
pulling for the Wolves. I say
Yeah,
2-1. Wolves.
awesome.
Let's go.
And that's all we have for you guys. That's all and girls. All that's all we do. And yeah, and last thing I'll say, Ipswich, if you beat City, I'll love you forever. Anyway, That's all. Anything else you guys have to say before we end the pod?
The schedule makers hate Ipswich.
Yeah,
Welcome to the
Liverpool
Premier League,
City.
baby.
Welcome to the Prem. We're the big boys now. Welcome to the
All
Prem.
right.
Go follow us on our socials. We're posting amazing clips and other things on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. If you're on YouTube watching this, go look at the shorts, and Twitter. Engage with us on Twitter. Yeah, and that's all I have for you guys. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.